all for coming. We are going to talk about how to succeed in college. This is targeted more towards those high school seniors, but always beneficial for anyone who is involved in it. I'm here with ICANN today. ICANN stands for Iowa College Access Network. You can see our mission here on the screen. We are a nonprofit. So what that means to you is that we can offer a lot of advising services to you for free. So before we get too far into the presentation, I'll discuss a little bit more about us and what we do. With these services, they are free to you. It can be anything from figuring out what you want to do in the future to where you want to go and how to get there. We help with filing that FAFSA form, looking at financial aid offers, anything that's with that transition into your next career or that process after high school, whether that's career, college, military, a trade, we can help you with that transition and help advise you through that. If you are wanting to schedule an appointment with us, you can either do it over the phone or going to our website. Here you're going to see options that are going to tell you that we can do it either in person at one of our office locations, or you can do it over Zoom. We send you a Zoom link the day before your appointment, and then you'll just click that link and join, and we do anything that we would in office just by sharing our screen with you. So like I said, you can go to our website and and schedule an appointment there. With that, in the middle of the screen, you can see the icon on our website. You click that and it takes you to our scheduling website, and then you can just select who you want to be with. As well as in there, just like today, we do a lot of different presentations. So any Wednesday webinar that maybe you've missed or you want to sign up for in the upcoming year, that you can go to that icon there and see every recorded presentation we've done this year. With that toolbar at the top of the screen, I like to point out as well, you can use all those resources there. There's so many tools under each thing to click. So if you're not ready to have an appointment with us about something, you can always use our website as a resource as well. Like I said, you're able to do in-person appointments as well as virtual. So those in-person appointments can be at any of our student success centers throughout Iowa. So maybe if you used one of us, or you've used, for say, I'm at the Cedar Rapids Hiawatha location and you started with me, you can always go to one of our other locations too. If it's closer to you, or if your student goes to college there and they need help, they can always go to the one that's closest to them. So to start off the presentation, we just kind of want to start by looking back. What advice would you give to your 8th grade self? Because you're getting close to that graduation time. So think about all those things that you've learned through high school and what you want to take with you in the next steps after graduation. If you've already graduated, congratulations. If graduation's coming up for you, it's something to be excited about. You can see here that there's a few things that come with graduation. So one thing, once you graduate high school and you're going to start these next steps into college, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have more independence. So that will come with some more responsibility than maybe what you've had in those high school years. And with graduation coming up, or if you've just graduated, there's a lot of feelings around it. All of your feelings are valid. You've gotten to this point, you deserve to celebrate it. And then we have to start looking forward to what's coming next. And how ready are you? So what we're going to talk about today is going to make sure that you are prepared for those next steps. So now that that time has come, or it's about to come, that you can now start to plan and make sure that if you're missing anything, or if there's a couple of things you need to do or plan for, that you can do those after today's webinar. So when we're talking about planning for college and how to be successful in it, we got to start with the basics. So before you even go to college, we want to obviously make sure that you've chosen a college. So when we're planning for those next steps, we need to evaluate which college is best for us, which more aligns with our personality and what our goals are. So have you chosen a college? We want to make sure that's off the list. When we're looking for what colleges we're deciding, we also need to file that FAFSA form. That's what's going to get you that federal aid as well as financial aid through the colleges or universities. So have you filed that FAFSA? If you haven't, there is still time, making sure that you get that filed sooner than later so that that college can start creating that financial aid offer for you. Have you applied for scholarships? So there's a lot of scholarship deadlines that may have passed, but there's more to come that we'll talk about. And comparing award letters. So if you're getting those financial aid offers, looking at those, Again, we'll talk about more about all of these things here, but making sure that if you haven't started comparing and deciding that we're doing so, as well as orientation. So when it comes to choosing a college, we want to make sure that we've narrowed down, we've decided the one that's best for us and that fits us for the next however many years we're going to be there. When we've decided and we've come to that decision that we have one college that we are interested in and that's the one we want to go to, we want to make sure that we've applied. So have you applied and been accepted to that school? You want to make sure that you've provided all necessary documentation that they require for you to then start classes there. So you're need if you maybe you've already started, if you've given them one transcript to be accepted into the school, you want to make sure that once you've graduated and you have all that final documentation with those final transcripts after exams, that you get those final transcripts to your admissions counselor as well that you've been working with. We also need to make sure that we are taking, if we need to, those standardized tests or placement tests, that we have those. And if we haven't given the results to the school yet, that we have. And then there's possibly some fees that come with after you've been accepted and you've decided which college you're going to. So maybe an acceptance or registration fee so that you can register for classes and that they know that you're actually serious about going to that school. There also may be a housing fee. So if you decide to live on campus, they may have a housing fee to help hold your place for housing, as well as there's going to be maybe some preferences you need to select and some necessary forms to fill out to make sure that you guarantee your spot on campus. A lot of times it's going to look like selecting your top 3. That way then they know your ranking and they can go selecting from there, as well as some forms that they have to have for liability reasons. And then there may be a meal plan involved. So if you are living on campus, there may be specific meal plans for you that you need to select which one you are wanting to do, as well as it may be another thing of if you are not living on campus and you're going to be a commuter, they may still have you do a small meal plan. So you may just pick how many meals and how many dollars you want on your student card. So this is something to look at and make sure you've completed before the school year has started, as well as signing up for orientation, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But again, something that needs to be done so that you can get those necessary introductory steps done before those classes start and when you move in. That filing for FAFSA, so that federal student aid, is going to be important when it comes to that award letter you get. So for this, you can get it by filling out the FAFSA form, which is the free application for federal student aid. It's going to be at studentaid.gov. If you haven't done so already, you can go home and do it tonight. If it's something that you want assistance on, we help with that, like I said earlier. So you can always go to our website and sign up for an appointment, and we help you step by step through it. We fill it out for you while you ask us we ask you those questions along the way. So again, if you haven't filled it out and you're stressed about it, let us help you. We can do it for you. So we know that you're filling it out right and that it's actually submitted. If you got selected for verification by a school, so they may ask for a copied signed of tax forms, or maybe you just to fill out some special document, making sure that if you haven't done so, you get that filled out and returned to the school as quickly as possible. And if you've had some special circumstances, so if you filed that FAFSA form, you've completed, it's been processed, sent off to the school, and you know that the year, so this upcoming school year, we use the 2022 taxes. So with that, if you know your 2022 tax year looks a lot different from the upcoming school year, that 24-25 school year, and you know that you may not be making as much. Maybe you had a switch of employment. Maybe you've had some health expenses that aren't covered by insurance. Maybe there's a change of marital status. If you have something that is affecting that upcoming school year and it doesn't look like that 2022 tax year, you can talk to your financial aid office. You won't do anything on your actual physical FAFSA form on studentaid.gov. You'll just contact that financial aid office. And once you've reached out to them, you can explain your circumstance and then ask them if it qualifies you for a special circumstance. Maybe you could receive more aid, or they can take another look at your financial aid offer to see where they can help you. So again, that's a great tool to have if it's if you are looking at some hardships in the upcoming year. but making sure no matter what that you fill out this FAFSA form and you're completing it every single year that you're attending school so you can receive not only that federal aid like those Stafford loans, because you won't receive those if you don't fill it out, as well as if it may qualify you for any other financial aid or grants. That school is going to look at it to determine your financial aid. So maybe they're really more willing to offer you some more aid if you fill it out, as well as it does cover some state aid too, if you do qualify for it. Another great thing, if you haven't done so, that you can still do is apply for scholarships. So throughout the school year, you are able to fill out those community ones. There may be special ones through that your parents or their employers have, but there's a lot of community scholarships that your counselor should have sent you. I would look through those, see if any are still available that you can apply to and get those completed on time, as well as you can always go to our website. We have a database under our financial aid. You'll see a scholarship section. So under that portion, you can find our database that sorts them out into this specific categories. As well as we have just a page full of trusted websites and apps that you can download on your phone and use those to then apply for different scholarships. So the ones that are the trusted websites and the apps, they are going to take a little bit more time just because you're going to have to search to see which ones apply to you. They are statewide and nationwide, so there may be more applicants for it, but still great opportunities. And by applying to many, even if you get one, you will probably spend less time applying to these than you would have had to do to work and work so many hours to then get the same amount you would have from a scholarship. So making sure if there's any more you can take advantage of, getting those done before that upcoming school year starts so you can so you can get more financial help down the road. As well as our website's a great place to come back year to year. Throughout the school year, I would just always be checking maybe every month to a couple months to see if there's any updated scholarships for current students that are in college, as well as you can always go back to those trusted websites and apps to see if any apply for you that you can keep applying for every single year to get scholarships throughout your college time. When you are applying for scholarships, a great thing to use is our activities resume. This is something that's going to save you a lot of time on each application because they're going to ask for each of these individual things every time that you are filling out that application form. So you can always go to our website and download our activities resume and use our template, or use it to just reference as you're creating your own. This is going to look like your education. So that high school, that GPA, that ACT score if you took it, as well as any academic awards. It's going to have your school activities you were a part of, community involvement, honors and awards, and employment. You'll list each of these things out and the years that you achieved them. When you're doing this, it is your whole snapshot of your high school experience. So you deserve credit for anything you did, even if it's only 1 or 2 years that you did it. Make sure you put it down. You want to give them the whole story of your college or of your high school time and what you achieved. So this is one place that it's great because it'll have everything in one spot that you can then attach to the application as you turn it in, and just say see PDF or see activities resume, or you can print it out and again state the same thing, see activities resume, and send it in. So again, that could save you like possibly 20 minutes each application. As you go through, you just get to attach it and then you can submit. So a great resource to have if you haven't done so already. Another great tool is, or another great thing when we are doing this is going to be when you've achieved those scholarships, when you have applied for that FAFSA form, what will come of it then, once that FAFSA form gets sent off to your college, once it's processed and sent to them, your school will start creating a financial aid offer for you. So with that, once your school has created that financial aid offer, they will then put it in your student account. And they will then reach out to you and say, your financial aid offer has been created. Please look into your student account. Again, this can vary from school to school. So they may just have a financial aid offer in your student account. They may email one to you. They may send one to you through the mail. Ask your admissions counselor or financial aid office. They will know what their school does specifically, since it's not the same school to school. Ask them what you should be looking for, and then know when And then that way you'll know when it does come, what to be looking for, and how you need to, what you need to do after you get that offer to accept your financial aid. So when we're looking at these financial aid offers, I have an example here on the screen. It has that cost of attendance. So it's made up of those direct costs and indirect costs. So those tuition and fees, housing and food, any other expenses. And then it's going to have all that financial aid in it. It's going to have that free money that you get. So if you receive any Pell Grants or those scholarships you applied for, as well as loans that you get if you receive any of those federal loans, as well as Work Study if you qualify. On those, when you see that federal aid, state aid, institutional aid, and private scholarships, if for some reason you don't see some of the scholarships that you qualified for, make sure that you are reaching out to your school and stating, I also received this. Have they not sent it your way? Have they not notified you? And make sure that the communication is there. If they don't know about it, they can't apply that private scholarship. So making sure that it reflects properly what you'll be receiving is important. So once you reviewed it and you're ready to, and you know that you are going to that school, making sure you're going back in and accepting those offers as necessary and declining the ones you don't want. This does run out after a certain amount of time. So making sure that over this summer that you are accepting those offers and that you've done so. If it's something you're questioning how to do, talk to that admissions counselor. They are there to help you accept these offers and go through them if necessary. You can always reach out to us too if you want help looking through them and comparing financial aid offers. Another thing that will come when it's college time is college orientation. So with college orientation, it is going to be where you get everything done. And so you're set for those first day of classes. It's kind of a one-stop shop. You're not only talking to the admissions counselor, financial aid representative, you are asking all questions that you have. So when it does come time for college orientation, or when those emails start to get sent out by your admissions counselor, make sure that you are registering for an early session. You want to make sure that you're prepared, you're making sure that you can complete and get all these tasks done so that you're not stressed out when it does come that time that you're moving in or you're getting ready for those classes to start. So definitely make sure you register for a session and that you have it on your calendar and that you come prepared. Review your course catalog there or before. This can then help you have those questions ready when it does come that time that you can talk to an advisor when you get to campus. Plan and make time to talk to a few different representatives. So when it does come time for an orientation, like I said, it's kind of a one-stop shop. So they'll have admissions there, they'll have financial aid there. They may have your advisor there as well to help you with classes. So when it comes that time, if you need to switch any classes or if you have any questions about if you've completed a housing form or if you want to talk about something on your financial aid offer, that is your time to bring those questions and be ready so you can get it all done right there and leave that day confident that you have everything done that you need to. Or if you have something that hasn't been done and you need to take it home and get it in, that you can and that you're able to do that. So make a list of questions that you have, bring it ready with you, whether that's on your phone or it's in a notebook. Make sure you have these questions ready to go so that you don't forget something. And then now we're taking extra time to get that done, or you're having to set up another appointment or go back to campus. So be ready for that. If there's questions, for example, you can ask, do I qualify for work study? Can I apply? Are there any other activities or organizations on campus that I can start preparing for? Making sure that your class schedule is the way that you need it. Ask if you can look at your dorm room if it's something that you're trying to plan for as well. These are all great things to start thinking about that you can be prepared for when orientation comes. With planning ahead and being organized, we want to make sure that there's a variety of ways that we can do it. So it's not just making sure you get everything done that you need to be able to attend classes, but making sure that you have the right things in place for when classes do come. So you want to plan your courses, obviously have that all scheduled out. But when we are doing this, making sure you're using your advisor so you know it's done properly, as well as you have everything you need to make sure you still graduate on your timeline. We want to make sure that we are determining that we're looking at our learning style. So when we are doing this, making sure that the classes that we're selecting are the best option for us. If you know that you do not work well with an online class, Make sure you're only scheduling in-person classes. So these are the kind of things we want to look at when we are trying to decide what classes we are taking. When we are coming in with kind of a plan for our classes, make sure you have a few extra options just in case maybe those classes are full, they don't work out, maybe some classes collide or a class isn't offered during that time. So make sure that you are just coming in with a little bit of a flexible schedule and some extra classes in case that doesn't work out. Communicate as well. So when we're planning ahead of being organized, we want to make sure we're communicating. So you're communicating with that admissions counselor, the financial aid office, that advisor, any teachers that you need to talk to, making sure that we are communicating and we're communicating in a timely manner as well. Don't talk with your admissions counselor one day and then 2 weeks later, then email her again. Make sure you're being timely with it so that you're getting it done quickly, effectively, and that you're not having to restart the conversation over and over again because you've waited too long and now you have to, and now maybe a class isn't offered anymore. So you're having to start at square one with that advisor again. Making sure that we know our graduation requirements going into it so that you're not blindsided by maybe some extra time or some classes that you didn't plan for. So make sure that you are reviewing those, that you're not just going with the flow because it's your freshman year. Ask those questions, get a planner if that will help, and use it. When it comes to scheduling courses, making sure that you bring that planner the day of orientation as well. That's a great thing to make sure that you have, so you have it all set in place in one area. When it comes to college, which we'll talk about in a second, classes are going to be a lot different. Your schedules are going to be a lot different than high school. So having a planner, whether it's one that you have on your phone, on your computer, in your, maybe you order a special one online, making sure that you have a place where you can keep it all organized and know what your day in and day out will look like and what's to come is going to be important when planning for your college experience. Again, we talked about independence. This is going to be where you take on a lot more responsibility in college because we're not going to have your parents there or those extra that extra time where teachers are going to reach out to you more. Having that self-discipline so that you know your schedule, that you know when it's time to study and do that homework is going to be important, as well as just knowing how to manage your time. So if it's something that you know you take a little bit longer on reading assignments, that you're scheduling enough time for that so you're not behind. A lot of different things come into play when it's being organized for college versus maybe what you've had to do in high school time. So when we are looking at academics, it's going to be a lot different from what high school was. So you can see here kind of a comparative. High school, we have a lot less hours that we're in classes each week. We also are looking at a different timeline of when maybe the academic school year is. So each college that you go, with each college, they are going to have an academic year that they're going to have on their website. It's going to be their academic schedule showing your breaks, showing how classes are split up and when finals are. Making sure you're getting that into your planner, making sure you're recognizing, okay, I have so much time before this ends and these are what my breaks looks like. How am I going to take advantage of those breaks? So with it, your school year is going to look a lot different. Your classes are going to be a lot faster paced. Maybe your finals exams are laid out a little bit different than what your school year would have been prior. So making sure you're looking at these so you can understand what kind of time you have and how quickly the turnover is when classes do come. With college, classes may look a lot different for you. So generally in high school, 35 students to a class or less, and it's taught by teachers. Where college is going to be anywhere from a small class size of 20 to hundreds of students, depending on the type of college that you selected. When you are doing college, it's going to be taught by professors and maybe graduate assistants. So this is something that it's going to be different. They are going to teach differently than maybe what your high school teachers did. So it's something to look at when you are selecting colleges, when you are preparing for class, what that is going to look like when you step in those doors and how you're going to have to learn in those environments. When we look at academic success in their teaching styles in college, like I said, high school, that material is presented to you so you can help understand the textbook. It's writing information maybe on a whiteboard or copied in your note, or you copy it into your notes. That's the basic layout for that high school teacher. Where college is maybe a lecture nonstop. Maybe they have a PowerPoint, but they're not telling you what to write down and what not to write down. It's kind of up to you to know how to take good notes and to make sure that they're organized in a manner that you understand, as well as applying to what you need to know for that test. They may give you illustrations, provide background info, or discuss and research topics about that you're studying. You're expected to be up to date on all assigned readings and to summarize it. You may get a question, maybe they don't tell you specifically what in the reading that they're going to go over in that next class, but they're going to maybe ask you on something that you're going to have to be ready to know. So these are just different ways you're going to have to look at that college experience, that you're going to have to figure out your note style if you haven't already. They're going to give you a little bit more freedom to know what you need to do and how you need to prepare for those tests. They're going to give you more freedom on figuring out what you need to take away from that reading. So making sure that you're staying up to date on these different things, and that they're not always going to give you reminders after reminder. They may tell you once and then they expect you to know it going forward. So this is important, again, where that planner comes in, that you can make sure that you have those readings down on what you need to do, and then you have the proper tools to make sure that you can take notes the way that you want to, whether that's on an iPad, a laptop, or in a notebook, and start knowing what ways work best for you to then take that away, remember that information so that you're able to summarize and utilize it during those class periods. When we look at this too, that time management factor is going to look a lot different. So with high school, they structure it and teachers carefully monitor you during that. They know whether you're in or not in class. They take that attendance, where professors may not take attendance. They may or may not. They are not going to push you. They're not going to be in the class. They're not going to email you every time that you miss class. So obviously smaller colleges may recognize whether you are or are not in class, but that doesn't mean that they are going to track you down and make sure you get there. Bigger colleges, they're definitely not going to know whether you are or are not in classes. So it's up to you to manage your time to make sure you show up to class and that you get that information and get that homework done. So with colleges, you're going to have a lot more freedom, and it's up to you whether you go or you don't go. And you want to make sure you are going so you are getting the information you need for that next class or that next test coming forward. When we look at homework, high school, you're told what you need to do. You're reminded of those assignments and due dates, and your homework will be checked. For colleges, they expect you to utilize a syllabus. On that first day of class, they may or may not go over that syllabus that they've already posted in your online classroom. And then once they've gone through that, they expect you to have that in your planner. They expect you to look through it and remind yourself of it. It'll give you those due dates and how stuff will be graded. And they'll assume that you just understand that material. Or if you didn't understand, that you'll go to them and ask that material about that material. So it relies a lot more on you to make sure you're utilizing this, that you're reminding yourself that stuff is due. They're not going to keep continuing sending out emails or telling you a million times during class. It's on you to have it down, to look at it, remind yourself of it, make sure you complete it, as well as you're utilizing it and asking any questions if you do have any. They're not going to pry you to see if you understand or you don't understand. With assistance for when it comes to high school, you're going to see that teachers may approach you if they believe you need assisted. Colleges, they're going to just usually expect that if you need help, you're going to come to them. They may have office hours that you can schedule. So whether that's you taking initiative and scheduling an appointment for that office hour, or at the beginning or after class going up to them and asking questions, they are going to expect you to come to them with that. They're not going to come to you to see if you have or if you're understanding the material. They're going to be more than helpful and ready to communicate with you when that time does come, but making sure you take that initiative is going to be important in college. There's also tutoring centers and writing centers. Make sure you take advantage of those. Those are going to be the places that they help you, whether it's a professor there or advisor there, or maybe it's a college student that's already taken the course and done well in it, that are going to be able to give you tips and help you through that course that you are taking. So use everything to your advantage when it does come to college. Make sure you're staying on top of these things, and that if you can't, or if you don't understand something, that you are reaching out with those questions. When it comes to studying, grading, and testing, it's going to look different as well. You could see a theme here. There's going to be a lot bigger difference when it comes to college. So with high school, maybe you read short assignments, and then you have class discussion. You study outside the class, maybe a couple hours a week, or if you are doing something outside of class, it's mostly that test preparation. Grades are based on ability to comprehend the material, and then testing is frequent. So you have more of a chance if you do bad on one test that you can make it up on the next. With college, it's substantial the amount of reading and writing that you're going to be doing that may not be discussed in the class time. Your studying hours are going to start you're going to start having more hours that you study outside of the classroom for each class that you have. Grades are based on the ability to apply what you've learned to new situations and solve those new problems, as well as testing may not be as frequent. And it's going to cover a large amount of material. So you're going to have more that you need to study for. That's where those extra hours come in, on top of that homework. And then when tests are not as frequent, that means that one test that you take can really impact that GPA for that class. So making sure that you are taking those tests seriously so that your grade doesn't plummet if you have a bad grade for one. So they do impact those. And if you are worried about any of these things, talking to your professor about that. Graduation requirements will be a little different between the two. So in high school, if you graduate, when you're able to graduate, students have passed all required courses with a D or above. College, it's going to look a lot different. So you're able to graduate if your average in classes meets the department standard. So each department or major is going to have different requirements for certain classes and what grades that you have to be able to move on and actually graduate with that degree. Usually a 2.0 GPA or a C letter grade, but some classes may be different. So academic probation is below a 2.0. So with that, if you're not meeting those requirements and having above a 2.0, you then get put on academic probation. And if you can't meet the standards and do what you need to do to stay above that, then you could be put on suspension from a college. So grades are being taken a lot more serious when it comes to college. Not that they weren't taken serious before, but they do have standards and they expect you to meet those standards to be able to not only stay at college, but then graduate from the institution. If you are someone that is planning to transfer, so starting at a 2-year and then transferring once you complete your 2-year community college, going to a 4-year, if that is something you're planning to do, you want to make sure that you are looking at those classes, you're making sure that they actually transfer to that next college, that it is an easy process for you, that everything you're doing and you're paying for in that 2-year experience, that they are applying that to that next degree that you're going after. A lot of colleges may have a transfer articulation agreement so that they already have an agreement in place. If you get a degree at a 2-year, that everything transfers in that program and they show you how it can apply and then what else you have to do to complete the degree. So some schools will have these transfer programs, making sure you're looking at those, taking advantage of them, knowing when you are looking at transferring, talking to an admissions counselor, maybe as soon as you start that first day in your 2-year program, or if a year before you plan to transfer. It's really important to start looking forward if you are planning to transfer, because those admissions counselors can start discussing the requirements that are necessary for it. So you can make sure as your time goes through there at that community college that you are meeting those requirements so you're not blindsided that semester before you try to transfer. Make sure you always meet with your transfer advisor regularly, that you're up to date on things, that you're meeting your requirements. So again, you're not wasting any time or money down the road. And then if you're wanting to look at transfer and you're wanting to know which credit and courses will transfer, there's some links there that you can see for our state colleges as well as private colleges to help you kind of plan ahead. With time management, this is something I've discussed heavily. We're going to keep discussing it. So with time management, because it's so important, we'll look at kind of roughly what your schedule may look like throughout your week so you can kind of plan ahead. This obviously right here is your dream schedule. So you can see a lot of stuff is closely together, you get a lunch break, but sadly, this is not always going to be what your college schedule looks like. a lot of times it's going to look more like this for your classes. So you see they're widely spread out. Maybe there's a night course, maybe there's an early one. There some days you have some classes and other days you don't. So college schedules are going to look a lot different than what you've experienced in high school. So this is something that you need to, why we say register early, go to orientation early, so that you know what classes you're taking so you can start preparing yourself on what those weeks are going to look like for you. With that, certain college classes are only offered at certain times. So sometimes they're not as easily to manipulate and make it how you want. That is why your college schedule is going to look a lot different and maybe not always be the specific way that you would love it to be. Maybe you won't get a late lunch maybe you'll get a late lunch one semester and the next semester you'll have that noon time that you prefer. But when we are looking at time management and after you've gotten signed up for those classes, then it's kind of putting in all that extra time that you need to accomplish everything else that you want. So you can see here kind of a rough schedule of someone's day. So you can see that maybe that person either wants to do something within their wellness. Maybe they want to go work out. Maybe they want to go meditate. There's different things that you can implement, but you have to still schedule that time for it. And so they've put it where they think it fits, as well as their 8 a.m. class. And then you have those study portions. So again, you're not only having to fit in your basic things that you want to achieve outside of class, but also those class times when you're going to study for not only tests that are upcoming, you're doing that homework, you're writing that paper, you're doing that online discussion. We're fitting in those meals there to make sure that we're still staying fueled for the next thing to come, as well as maybe you do work study. So you work on campus or you get an outside of campus job. You're having to fit in that other time. So this is where that time management becomes important because when we're looking at it, we want to make sure that we are staying on top of things. We don't get behind, but we can still fit in everything that we want to. This can become more complex when you start adding in maybe some clubs or organizations or extracurriculars that you want to be a part of on campus. With managing that time, we want to make sure we still have time for fun things or hanging out with friends that we want to do. But this is why we have to create a schedule and get a planner and make sure we're organizing our time so that we can still have time for all those fun things and don't waste it on maybe sitting in our room or when watching TV, or that we don't have to miss something because we didn't plan time to study during our day. So time management is really important. Some things that can really help you when it comes to that class time is sitting in the front of the classroom so that you know what is expected of you, what you need to get done. You're effectively learning everything. You're hearing everything the professor's stating. You are learning it firsthand, that you're joining in on those discussions. So you're learning it and you're retaining it better. So maybe you don't have to study as much outside of class, as well as you're asking those questions. This is something I know as an incoming freshman can be very intimidating to you. But make sure if maybe you don't like answering your questions during class, even though that answer may help not only you, but a lot of students that are in that class, stay after class, come before class, email that professor, ask those questions so you don't start falling behind just because you don't understand one thing in your course. Keeping up with that syllabus, like we talked about, making sure that you are looking at that syllabus. If your professor states that something is different than the syllabus, you mark it in it and you put that on your planner, just so you don't get confused, so you don't forget a homework assignment. They may add something. They may take away something. You don't want to do something extra that you don't need to. You don't want to have to read a whole chapter when it wasn't needed for that next week. And if something changes, you want to be ready for it. And as always, ask for help if you need it, whether that's your professor or in maybe a center that they can help you with the paper or they can help you proofread, different things that you can do to help yourself. And just remember, you are paying to be there. You can kind of see here a little bit of a breakdown. You can see you have tuition. You're paying to be there every single semester. You can separate it even into your classes if you want. And then from there, you can see how much you're paying per week for all those classes. Per session, then, it is kind of like doing a job. You're paying to be there this time. And so if you're not going to class, you could be wasting $30 or more because a lot of tuition now is above this. So if you're going to a 4-year or a private, you may be wasting more than $30 per class session that you're in. So something to look at, kind of to get you in that mindset to make sure that you're keeping yourself accountable when it does come to class studying and making sure you're getting your most out of your college experience. When it comes to college, like I said, academic is very important, and we want to make sure that we are managing our time so we can have that social success as well. Um, Something to think about that I know is always very nerve-wracking for that first year is making friends, finding your group, meeting new people and making those connections. Just think about it and put it in this perspective. In high school, you are friends with people a lot because you met each other and you see each other all the time. That is going to happen in college as well. You're going to have classes, especially when it comes to your major, you're going to keep seeing the same people in each class. Or if you go to different activities, you may see those same people. So it's filled with opportunities to meet new people. So have an open mind, put yourself out there to make those connections, because you'd be surprised how many friends you can make during this college experience if you just put yourself out there a little bit. Another way to get experience with new things is going to be in those campus organizations and activities. Maybe join a leadership group, or join a club or organization. This is a great way to not only meet new people because you're going to keep meeting with the same people, but it is also great to add on a resume down the road. It is a great way to get more involved within your campus. So again, great thing to take forward with you and to help you build that community in your college experience. Intramurals, something fun to do to maybe be a little bit more on the wellness side as well as make new friends. Study abroad or an international exchange program, a great way to meet new people and make new experiences. Internships, campus jobs, and then also field experience or research opportunities. These are all going to build relationships, not only probably in your college, on your campus or university's campus, but also make connections within that area, as well as maybe within businesses that you're wanting to be a part of down the road as well. Another thing that could be within that planner that we were talking about is staying healthy. So one thing to keep your social success healthy is going to be making sure you stay healthy. So you're getting enough sleep. That's why we want to make sure we are doing well in our time management, because that is going to make sure we have enough sleep down the road as well. If you're studying during the proper times of the day, then you don't have to study late at night. So making sure that you are planning out your time so you can get enough sleep so that you're ready for classes the next day and you can do your best on that test down the road. This is also going to help you control that stress. So with making sure you manage your time, that you are having everything planned in that planner, you can control that stress. Eating a balanced diet, that you're not only making sure that your wellness is good on your sleep and your stress, but you're also putting things in your body that are going to set you up to be energized for that day, as well as that you are maybe taking advantage of campus health and counseling services. Maybe they have workout programs. Maybe they have different classes for yoga. These are all different things that you can take advantage of while being there, as well as you're just staying active. Whether that's intramurals, that's maybe a different class you can take part in. These are all great ways to take advantage of things on your campus that can help you stay healthy, making sure that you are your best self, not only physically, but also mentally as well. So definitely look at those, see if your campus offers them, and that you take advantage of them down the road. We also want to make sure we're staying safe on campus. That's another thing to make sure that our social success is happening. Making sure that you are being secure with how your dorm is. Don't leave it unlocked. That you, with computers, or if you're a commuter, or sorry, for computer security, you're not leaving your computer open. That you're making sure that you are being careful with who you're letting have a password. So don't be handing out any passwords. You're not leaving it open in maybe the library so people can get into it. That we are being careful around campus, and that we're being careful when we're online as well. Making sure that if you are someone who has a vehicle on campus, that you're not leaving it unlocked. These are all things we can do to keep ourselves safe when on a campus. Another thing we have to look at when it comes to our college experience is that financial process. So making sure that we are having conversations with our parents when it comes to looking at our financial aid. Um, if you haven't already, figuring out who is paying for college. Is your parent helping, or is it fully on you? Whether it is talking to a financial aid counselor, or maybe I can figuring out what your financial aid plan is and what you need or don't need to take out, what your budget looks like, as well as will you have a credit card, or are you taking a debit card to campus? What are you looking at to know how you're going to pay for things down the road as well? And then when we talk about paying for college, again, applying for that FAFSA form each year. Those loans and some grants may only be possible when you apply for that FAFSA. So when you are doing this, you apply every fall. That then, if you apply, say this last fall, or it was a weird FAFSA year, so it would have been this winter, but in the upcoming school year, you'll apply in October. If the FAFSA form is out then. So you'll apply in October, then you can have that financial aid ready for that upcoming school year. So making sure that you're taking advantage of the FAFSA every single year so that you don't not have the ability to take out any loans if you need to, that you're getting that financial aid offer timely. Make sure you're always continuing to search for and apply for scholarships. So whether that's on our website or on your own, just making sure you're staying safe when doing it, but making sure you're continuing to apply for scholarships to get free aid towards your college education. You're also wanting to keep track of your student loans, so you can do this on that studentaid.gov website where you apply for FAFSA, so you know how much you're borrowing when that time does come, as well as you're seeing what the interest is on those loans too. And that you're understanding that financial aid offer every semester. So making sure you're sitting down, talking with the financial aid officer, your parents, or ICANN, to make sure that you're reviewing it, you're on top of it, you know what you are or are not taking out, so that you're not getting at the end of your college experience and then wondering why you have all this loan money that you took out. You review your costs of every year of college, so your costs may go up every year, making sure you're reviewing that. You're looking at how much your housing and food as well is going up, or how much it costs to know what you can afford for campus living, just so that you are staying on top of your financial aid through this experience, and only borrow what is needed. So all because you are given the opportunity for loans. If you don't need to take them out, please don't take them out, as well as that we aren't over borrowing. So if you don't need as much as what is offered, talk to that financial aid office, as well as if you are taking out private loans just to help pay for things where maybe the amount you're taking out you could actually work to cover, don't take out extra loans if you don't need them. As well as maybe you get done with that financial aid offer and you need to borrow a private loan, see if you can make a payment plan first through the college so that you can split up those payments and it makes it more affordable for you. Or maybe you make a payment plan through the college and you take out a private loan for a smaller amount. Or maybe we mixed work in there as well. Different ways to look at this so that it makes college a little bit more affordable for you. Another thing when it comes to financial aid is making sure that you're borrowing wisely. Like I just talked about, don't borrow more than what you can afford. Make sure you're looking at it. You're using our tools on our website or through your college to make sure that you are knowing roughly what you would make as an income coming out of college, and then knowing how much you can realistically borrow when it does come to that each single year, so that you're not borrowing more than what your salary can afford when you do get a job. A great way to look at this is when you have starting salary, split it up into 10 years. So then you know what you can afford each month. This is roughly 10 years is what you'll be paying off your student loans. So again, a great way to look at it to make sure that you don't borrow more than what you can pay off in that 10-year period, because our goal would be paid off in 10 years versus having to take it out even longer and you accumulate more interest down the road. When it comes to financial success, credit cards are one thing that we always like to touch base on. So if you are taking a credit card to campus, or if you or if it's something that you're going to utilize, that you're making sure that you're being very careful with it. Overspending can happen, and we don't want to accumulate that debt on top of what you're already taking out. So making sure you always pay that balance in full, that you're making sure you're paying more than that minimum, that that if you're having a credit card, that you're looking at all the conditions and requirements for it, that you're avoiding any possible fees, whether it's late payments, cash advances, or over the limit penalties. So really be careful if it is something that you are letting a student take to campus, or as a student in yourself, know everything that you need to know about your card so you are ready for it when that time does come. With this, financial aid is going to also, you want to make sure that you're protecting your identity when it does come to financials. So um, with that, if you're getting stuff sent to campus, make sure that you're securing your mail. If you're sending it out of your campus services, that you're being careful with it, that you shred your personal information, that you don't share account numbers with anyone that you shouldn't, that you're secure with your computer, that you're just being very careful with your information when you are on campus, because it's a very public place that people can get stuff very easily. So we want to make sure we're not being a victim of identity theft or any suspicious activity. For your future success, when it comes to your college experience, we want to make sure that you're setting your goals early so that you are knowing what you want to achieve in this 2-year, 4-year, or more time, so that you get the most out of it, because it will fly by just like your high school experience flew by. You want to gain work experience when you are in that when you are at that college or university, so you can start preparing for that future career, because they're going to want to see experience in what you've learned throughout that time while you're there. So whether that is an internship, an off-campus job, or a volunteering, make sure you're taking advantage of those things when you are there. Creating a resume, you are going to want to keep it up to date. If a LinkedIn is a good option for you, create a LinkedIn as well. Some college classes will have you do this throughout them. They'll also teach you how to create a cover letter and a thank you note, and maybe practice your job interview skills. A lot of these things may be practiced within your college experience, but if they're not, make sure you are practicing them while you're there so you're ready for those next steps. As well as you have a lot of tools on campus that you're able to use, whether it's an advisor, professor, or one of those campus services where they can help you with job placement, internship placement, or how to actually create an effective resume and cover letter. When it comes to interviewing for jobs, making sure that you are set up for that. So whether it is something you've practiced those interview skills, that you are, when you're going through this college process, that you're meeting with a advisor or maybe a mentor, as well as a professor that can just teach you these skills or interview you so you have the experience and you actually know what it's going to feel like with having someone else in the room asking you those questions. They have all gone through it before. So definitely take advantage of them, or they've been trained to help you. Make sure you, when you're looking at jobs, that you know yourself, your strengths, your biggest achievement. You can ask family and friends and teachers for other thoughts as well, that you're researching that job and company, making sure that it is the best fit for you, that you understand that you need to be timely, dependable, and responsible when it comes to that interview process and career that you're conducting, not only practicing for your interview, but also the other regular practices when it comes to an interview. So that handshake, your posture, that eye contact, and making sure you have everything necessary when it comes to that day, that you have your resume on hand in case they need it, reference list, portfolio if needed. So making sure that you're ready for it, not only to answer those questions, but everything you may need for that day, as well as that we're dressing appropriately for the interview. Ask them when they offer you that interview, what kind of work attire do you have in the office, and then dress above it to make sure that you're properly equipped for that interview that day. Making sure that your phone is completely off, maybe on do not disturb or airplane mode. You do not, the last thing you want is it ringing during your interview and distracting not only you, but the people interviewing you. And it just comes off a little disrespectful when you have that on during the actual interview themselves. And that you always follow up with some kind of thank you note or email to them, thanking them for the interview and that you look forward to hearing from them. Great practices to take with you into those next steps. So some insider information when it does come to college. This is advice from real college students, making sure that you are always paying attention to your college emails. This is going to be the highest communication that you get from your professors, from advisors, admissions counselors, making sure you're looking at those and you're staying on top of them. This is also going to be the place where they reach out about everything going on campus, so you can make those connections. get your letters of recommendation and references along the way. So you're going to meet a lot of professors, a lot of people throughout your time here in college. So making sure that along the way that you are asking those people if you do make that kind of connection with them so that it doesn't come time for you and then it's been 3 years since you've really talked to this person. Making sure you get them along the way, that you're staying in communication with people who you want to have a letter of recommendation for you is really important because you're going to have to use them time and time again when jobs do come up. Live close enough to home to maybe go home occasionally. So depending on how you are and what your circumstance is, if you know you're going to want to go home, that you have that opportunity to, or as well as that another thing I'd recommend is only going home occasionally. Don't go home every single weekend or you're not going to make those extra connections on campus when activities are happening. Making sure you live close enough that you can, if you want to, maybe, but not that you're going home every weekend and taking time away from where you could be meeting people or doing things on campus, as well as that you limit your time on social media when it comes to planning and organizing your time. If you are spending all your time on social media, then you are taking away from maybe making new connections or getting an assignment done during the day where so that you can go to bed at the correct time at night. So making sure you're limiting your time, that you are also not only making sure you're planning your time correctly, but you're planning your expenses as well. So not spending frivolously. So if you don't have it, if you don't have any money in your account, don't spend it. If you don't have that money for eating out every single day, make sure you're using that food plan. So make sure that you are maybe looking at your expenses and what you're going to have to pay for. So then you know what you can or cannot spend during your weeks at school. As well as if you can walk, definitely walk. Make sure obviously it's a safe area, but make sure that you are walking or biking to different things on campus. Don't always drive to places. You don't want to spend extra money on gas that you don't need to. So different things that you can take into account when it comes to that college experience to make sure that you're spending your time there the best that you can. I'll say it one more time, but if you are looking for places for help, you can always use your high school counselor before this college time does come, or as well as that college admissions counselor, financial aid offices. These are the people that are going to be knowing the most about your campus and the details that pertain specifically to that college or university. So always reach out to them if you need help. They are going to help you step by step, not only on your way to campus in those first days of classes, but also throughout your time in college. Don't be afraid to ask them questions, as well as I can. We're here to help you with all of our advising services. We're free to you. If you're not ready for an appointment, use our website to look at different things, but always use us as a resource, especially when it comes to filing that FAFSA every single year and looking over those financial aid offers. So please feel free to always utilize us with any questions that you have. So ending the presentation today, looking at those next steps, again, make sure that you're talking to your admissions counselor, staying connected with them, making sure you have every single thing completed that you need to so that you're not behind, like signing up for housing, registering for classes, completing scholarships if there's any to that particular school. If there's any other scholarships that you can apply for, make sure you're taking advantage of them. Complete that FAFSA if you haven't already, or if you need to go in and make corrections or got notified of corrections, that you're going back in and doing that so you're not holding up that financial aid offer process. Once you've received that financial aid offer, making sure that you are following up. So you're accepting those offers or declining them. If you accepted any federal loans, that you're going into studentaid.gov and doing that promissory note and entrance counseling so that you're not having to worry about any of this the first day of class. As well as that, if you have any questions or you want to meet with us, sign up for an appointment with me or any of our other advisors today and talk to that high school counselor if there's anything you're stressing about, if you don't know how to get your final transcript sent to them. Make sure you're communicating with everyone necessary. Stay on top of your things. Don't procrastinate. These are going to be things, the summer is going to fly by, so make sure you're getting them done on time. If it is something that you're wanting to follow us, we are on all social media platforms. Our webinar today is also live streamed on Facebook as well. So feel free to go to our website, sign up for any of our future webinars. You can sign up for our e-alerts, so we'll let you know when FAFSA does come open every single year and when our appointments are ready and different things happening within the college world. So please feel free to utilize us on any kind of social media platform or on our website as well. But thank you all for coming today. With this, the webinar is complete. If you do have any questions, I'll stick around for a couple minutes to see if anyone does say anything, and then I will close the webinar. But thank you again for coming today, and I hope you took something away with you. If you do have any questions and maybe you're watching this recorded, feel free to email ICANN. You can go to our website and you will find our email there, and you'll get to one of our advisors. But have a great day.